What's up, y'all?
Hey,
Welcome to the first installment of Who the Cat Fits.
who the cat fits? Let that sizzle in your spirit for a minute.
That means if anything we talk about ruffles your feathers, wear the hat.
The feathers are ruffled. So,
So, what we're doing is having conversations that most people don't want to talk about unless they behind closed doors where nobody can hear. But we gonna bring it right to you, straight no chaser.
man, we get into some deep conversations that you would probably not even believe that this is husband and wife because we talk like, you know what I'm saying? Like we just cool. But that's because we uh trust each other and you know, it is what it is. I know who I'm married to, he knows who he's married to. So I'm not surprised with some of the stuff that comes out of his mouth. Trust me. I believe that a lot of people need to hear what this man has to say.
With that being said, we were having a conversation about mistakes and choices slash decisions. And it's my personal opinion that there's a lot of people that don't know the difference. And um, I'm here to let y'all know. We're here to let y'all know.
That's right. It just popped back into my head. Accountability, right?
Yeah.
Accountability after the mistake or decision is made. So if you make the mistake, you have to pay for the consequences of that mistake.
Facts. But here's the thing, you don't get to determine what those consequences are. You can't pick them.
Absolutely.
You fucked up. So, with that being said, once you do, you don't get to determine how that consequence comes to you, how your karma comes to visit you. You don't get to pick that. And a lot of people seem to think that they in control. Once you fuck up, you lose control. My son and I were having this conversation last night about the very same thing. You know what I'm saying? And it's uncomfortable. It's definitely uncomfortable. Karma is definitely uncomfortable. And karma gonna do what she want to do to you. And 9 times out of 10, when she come to visit, she ain't knocking.
How do we, when the mistakes happen, and a lot of people, believe it or not, rely on us for advice, how do we explain to that person about the said bad choice, decision, or mistake, and how the consequences, you know, may affect them from making that mistake or choice?
Well, first of all, you got to differentiate a mistake and a choice, right? Because a lot of times mistakes don't hurt people. A lot of the time, but decisions, i.e., choices, tend to. For instance, a mistake is you in the kitchen, uh, you cooking, and you get busy and you forget that you're cooking and something gets burnt, that's a mistake. A choice is, I'm in the kitchen, I'm cooking.
And go ahead and say it, because I know where you're going, and I'm gonna take this phone call, knowing I'm gonna be distracted, and then I'll mess around and burn his food, and then okay, I get it.
That's a choice. You know what I'm saying? The consequence is
I gotta look at that mug.
My food gonna be salty as hell. You know.
You know what?
Or it's gonna be overcooked. You know. But those are just little things. You know. So I'm gonna just go ahead and put it on out there for those of y'all that's in relationships or situationships or whatever ships you want to sail. Infidelity is not a mistake.
I agree.
Sucking peen is not a mistake. Eating peaches is not a mistake. Those are all choices. I ain't never met anybody in the history of historydom, that's not a word, that tripped and fell into some cooch.
I think I heard that on
or vice versa.
The Maury Povich show back in the day, though, that does happen.
Oh, okay. So you could trip and fall on a dick?
I mean, well, let me take that back.
Yeah, okay. If you take a peen into your mouth, that's a conscious decision. It ain't no mistake. It just didn't up and end up there.
So Kanye cousin didn't make him do that. He wanted to do it.
That was a decision.
Wow.
That's a decision, because if he made him do it, then you got a choice
to bite that shit off so he won't do it again.
or die trying.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So it wasn't no mistake. Okay. It wasn't no mistake, you know. But keeping things real, people don't tend to think about how their choices or decisions affect the people that they care about or the people that care about them the most. They just don't. Because a lot of times those choices or decisions are made emotionally.
Right. But what about the people that are emotionally or mentally, unstable? How do we address those mistakes or choices and decisions?
Well, it's simple. Regardless of whether you are, mentally challenged or however you choose to put it, everyone knows right from wrong.
Or if they don't, they can be corrected, right? Or redirected.
Absolutely. Just because you are special needs don't mean you can't be
taught,
right? Mm-hmm. So, it's a sensitive conversation, but anybody can be taught. It may take a little more patience or a little more firmness or sternness, but at the end of the day, there's no excuse I'll say this. You have to think about the choices and decisions you make, even when you're emotional. That's hard to do.
Yeah.
because sometimes emotions do take over. You know, I'm guilty
Not you.
of emotional decisions.
Not you.
Listen. I was at the lowest of the low because I was making emotional decisions, or I was making decisions that weren't sound. You know, and when you tend to make decisions that emotional decisions never turn out to be really good decisions. Period. Point blank.
I heard somebody say that's why they wouldn't. We can't have a woman president because women are too emotional.
Not today's women. That's another topic.
Right.
You know, I was one who wore my emotions on my sleeve because I believe it or not, when in my younger days, I didn't talk a lot. So I reacted, you know, and when I reacted, people tend to get hurt, you know. It's just one of those things. I made a lot of mistakes, so I thought, but a lot of those mistakes, in retrospect, turned out to be conscious decisions. I just was in the wrong state of mind when I made them. So, and I had to take accountability for that. I heard a lot of people from so-called mistakes, but they were conscious decisions. They were selfish decisions. And, you know, I don't live with a whole lot of regrets in my life because I feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be. But some of those decisions, if I could go back and take them back, I would. But nevertheless, those decisions kind of forged who I am today because fortunately I learned from them, those mistakes. And I try to not preach, but if I can help somebody because of all of the bad decisions that I made and the wisdom that I've gained from them, I try to use that to maybe steer somebody else in another direction, even with my kids.
Which happens to be the driving factor behind this podcast.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. You know, I feel like I have a lot to offer to those who want to hear me. Now, if you're one of those ones who know everything, then I ain't talking to you. If you're one of the ones who could be on the fork of life and you don't know which road you want to go down, I can share some of my experiences. I'm not here to preach to nobody, but I feel like I can share some of my experiences to maybe help you make the right decision, even though I ended up making the wrong decision. So you don't have to suffer through what I suffered through by making them wrong decisions. And I made a lot of bad decisions. But I'm still here to talk about them. And I feel like my job is, if I can just help one person moving forward, I'm cool with that. Because everything ain't for everybody.
Right.
You know?
We got a lot. We got a lot that we like to talk about, that we're gonna be bringing to our people that are watching. I don't want to say fans, but subscribers and friends. We got business we can discuss. We can talk about, owning your own business. We can talk about truck driving, owning, owner operator. We got a lot to bring to the table, and we want to share that with you guys.
If y'all got ideas It's whatever. We gonna it's who the cat fits. You understand what I'm saying? If I like the uncomfortable conversations. I like the uncomfortable ones because I like to keep things all the way real and all the way funky as they like to say. So if y'all got something that y'all would like to talk about, let's get at it, man. Let's leave no stone unturned. I don't
Yeah.
care what it is.
You can leave it down in the comments if there's a topic that you want to discuss, if you want to hear our point of view on something, if you got a question you want to ask. We're pretty much open books to a certain extent.
Shoot.
But yeah, we want to engage, talk to some people, and see if we could share. And hey, we might be able to learn something from somebody out there.
But remember, these are just our opinions. We're not speaking for everybody. We're just speaking from our point of view. Where's my remote? I'm just going that fast. So don't forget to like and subscribe.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to get right back at y'all. We're going to keep it moving.
Okay.